Hello and welcome to my Siege of Orgrimmar raid guide. My name is Aliena, and in this video I'll show you all you need to know about Iron Juggernaut, the 6th boss in this new raid instance. We completed this fight with 2 tanks, 6 healers and 17 DPS, but similar raid configurations may work just as well. Iron Juggernaut is a 2-phase encounter with an emphasis on, well, not standing and stuff. When you first engage him, Iron Juggernaut will engage his assault mode, in which he is freely mobile and needs to be tanked. From assault mode, he'll switch to siege mode, in which he'll burrow into the ground, and he won't require a tank, but he'll gain some new abilities. Phases are timed. He'll spend 2 minutes in phase 1, then 1 minute in phase 2. This pattern repeats until he dies. There's no special positioning required for phase 1, though the raid should be loosely spread out, and no one but the tank should be in front of the Juggernaut. His tank swap mechanic is called Flame Vents. This inflicts fire damage in a frontal cone and also applies a 30-second debuff called Ignite Armor, which increases fire damage taken by 10% per application and also puts a stacking dot on the target. Your tanks should switch off roughly every 30 seconds whenever the debuff falls off. Another ability you'll get to see fairly quickly is Borer Drill. He'll drill his arms into the ground, causing several spiky earth ripples to fall around raid members. These persist for a few seconds and eventually disappear. When stood in, they deal some moderate damage per second and won't outright kill a raid member, but for the most part this should be avoided. Laser Burn is unavoidable, randomly targeted fire damage that must be healed through. It's not very heavy damage, but it does inflict a 10-second dot on the player it hits, so they'll keep taking damage for a little while. Mortar Cannon is a very obvious ground effect that targets a random player and will deal moderate damage to anyone that stands in it when the explosion goes off. It's a very fast cast, so raid members must pay close attention to get out of them. His last phase 1 ability is Crawler Mines. Roughly every 30 seconds, Iron Juggernaut will spawn 3 of those, but potentially less than the 10-man version. As soon as they hit the ground, they'll start a cast called Detonation Sequence. Once the sequence finishes, the mine will explode and deal 300k AoE damage to everyone. While a raid can easily survive one detonation, having multiple go off at the same time would be devastating. The mines can and should be disarmed. However, disarming a bomb by clicking on it will inflict 1.2 million physical damage, so it should only be done by your currently inactive tank or someone with a mitigation cooldown up. The disarming should be communicated on voice chat. After 2 minutes, phase 2 will start. The Juggernaut retains his Crawler Mines ability in this phase, but otherwise learns some new stuff. At the start of the phase, everyone should make sure that they have a wall behind them. This is due to an ability called Shock Pulse, which deals heavy rate-wide AoE damage that needs to be healed through, and also intermittently knocks every raid member back. Having a wall at your back will make sure you won't be knocked out of range of your raid members. Shock Pulse is easily the most painful ability this fight, and raid healing cooldowns should be reserved to help out with those. The rather passive damage his Laser Burn did in phase 1 is replaced by Demolisher Cannons, which do mild AoE damage within 6 yards of the targeted person. It's good to be somewhat spread out for this, but the damage isn't too punishing, so as long as the whole raid is not clumped up, and it should be no problem to heal through. The laser itself turns into a targeted beam that chases random raid members around. When targeted with Cutter Laser, the affected person needs to run away from it. Other raid members should obviously stay out of its way as well. His last ability is Explosive Tar, and like the name says, they're basically just puddles of tar he puts all over the room. They reduce movement speed and do some mild damage when touched, but more importantly, when they come into contact with the Cutter Laser, they'll deal 200k AoE damage to all raid members, so hiding the Cutter Laser near any tar puddle should be avoided. Raid damage is moderately heavy in this phase, so adding a 200k explosion might cause some deaths. After 1 minute of this, Iron Juggernaut will stop burrowing and resurface, and phase 1 will start all over again. Once you know all his abilities and avoid the mechanics that deal heavy raid damage, this is a fairly simple fight. Those are all the tips that I have for Iron Juggernaut. Thank you for watching this guide. I hope it was helpful. I stream most of our raids and other gaming content over at Twitch. I'll put the link in the description box, so come stop by sometime.